Hey guys, Ty here, and in this video, I'll be interviewing Shane Harris. He is the founder, the creator, the god of SideQuest. If you are sideloading stuff onto your Quest, chances are you're using SideQuest and are familiar with it. So let's take a moment and get to know the guy behind SideQuest. It's one of my favorite apps. It's getting better every single day. We owe it all to Shane. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump into it.
Tyco Tech reviews and tutorials.
All right, so we have got Shane Harris with us today. Shane is the creator and founder of SideQuest. Thanks for taking some time and spending it with us, Shane. How you doing?
I'm doing really good. Thanks for having me.
So we'll start off, just tell us a little bit about you. Give us a little bit of background on you. What brought you to this point?
Sure. Well, I'm just a passionate early adopter, like many of us here in the industry. I think VR is still kind of propped up by passion in a lot of cases. And, you know, I started a couple of years ago, realized pretty early on that I wanted to be part of this whole big mess that we're all involved in now. And yeah, I just let the passion take over. Yeah, it's been an incredible ride. I've been lucky to be so close to the front lines in terms of how this whole story is unfolding.
What's your technical background? Obviously, you've got some programming skills. Where does that come from?
Sure. Well, I'm a senior developer by trade. I started out working a lot in web-based technology stacks, but in recent years, I've been focused on gaming and building out gaming. That's kind of my primary background. Yeah.
Cool. So what gave you the idea for SideQuest? I mean, was there like an aha moment? How did you come up with it?
Yeah, well, basically, I'm the sort of person that when somebody tells me no, if that doesn't kind of gel well with me, then I'll generally figure out a way to get around that no. So we submitted our game to Oculus, our pitch for the Quest store, like many others, and ours was declined. So at first we were kind of disappointed, but pretty quickly we realized that there was a serious gap there, and there was a lot of other people in the same boat as us. So we were lucky at the time. We were kind of connected to a few developer communities. We decided to start playing with the tools. We put the word out amongst these circles, and pretty quickly everybody was kind of jumping on board. It was a no-brainer at that point that SideQuest needed to exist.
So talk about like some of the recent stuff. What have you added to it that you find noteworthy?
One of the more popular things that has landed in SideQuest is To the Top. A lot of people think that it was our first paid game, but we've actually had paid games for quite a while. But I think this in particular was quite a popular game. There was a lot of interest around that. The guys over at WebVR were nice enough to cover me in an interview talking about that. Yeah, that was a really exciting moment. It was exciting to have kind of one of these sort of milestones where sort of things happen that you don't forget right away, which is really exciting.
Speaking of like paid games, where do you see that moving forward with SideQuest? Because obviously there's a ton of developers that can't get through the curation process over at Oculus. I know they're really sticklers over there. Where do you see that going, rather than like maybe integration with Itchy, or are you guys going to have some sort of your own payment platform where people can pay for everything done completely on SideQuest? Where do you see that going?
I think as it stands right now, we're probably going to stick to the original plan, which is to lean on paywalls like itch.io and allow them to handle the payment for apps and games. We have no plans to integrate any direct payment facility into SideQuest. I mean, essentially, making sure that developers can get a little bit of kickback during this early access stage that they exist on SideQuest, that's kind of been a priority of ours from the very start. In fact, it's come up quite a few times in discussions with Oculus. So yeah, I mean, basically, there's an existing ecosystem there. There's an indie platform, which a lot of people know and love, itch.io. I'm familiar with the founder myself, and I'm talking to him about maybe trying to get a more direct integration into itch.io just to smooth out that user process. But that's really our only plans in terms of future paid ecosystem on SideQuest. You know, we're the test bed. You know, we've always been the test bed. People come to us because they want to find out if their game has legs. And what's great is that for some people, Oculus are also keeping an eye out in that regard too. And for some people, they might be lucky enough just to get accepted onto the official store.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so speaking of kind of coming features and stuff, I know Aughta just kind of released, and there's already a bunch of modding going on with that. You guys doing anything to bring Aughta mods over to SideQuest?
Yeah, Aughta looks really exciting, and from the little bit that I've heard, it seems that community is really warm and welcome to getting mods in there, which I think is great. I think mods are kind of the future of any game ecosystem and community, because it just allows for so much more iterative expansion on the original idea. So yeah, we're talking to some guys in that space, and if there's anything that we can do there with the agreement of the developers to make that easier for their users on Quest, like anybody else, we're eager to jump in.
Cool. Yeah, I think the Aughta community and Aughta Harmonix behind Aughta, they seem to be embracing these mods, which I think is really cool. Whereas I think Beat Saber's kind of just staying out of the, they're just like, yeah, let the side users do that in the community. We're not going to say yay or nay, but I feel like Harmonix might be a little bit more, yeah, let's do some mods. Let's make some custom guns. Let's let you make the game yours, which I think is pretty cool.
That's a really smart move.
It is.
I can certainly agree with that sentiment. It's really a good way to go.
Yeah. Embrace the players, and they're gonna come. Now, I know you were telling me earlier that you are integrating some WebVR stuff into SideQuest. Now, is that just on your website?
Yeah. So it was actually recommended by somebody I was chatting to in Oculus that we should look at trying to expose some WebVR stuff. So I've been toying around with that in the last couple of weeks, and today. I'm excited to announce that we've got a WebVR section in beta up on the SideQuest website. It's live right now. There's tons of things you can play with. It's still in beta because we're still testing out and finding out what works best out of several of these experiences. But basically you can access this directly in the headset. You use a browser on your headset, so you can use Oculus browser or you can use Firefox Reality. And there's a short URL to get straight there. So it's sdq.st/webvr. Just pull that up inside your headset and you can browse your way through the experiences.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely put a link to that down below here. Yeah, that's awesome. I know that there's a lot of web experiences, but it's kind of hard to find them all because they're just sort of like scattered all over the place. So that'll be cool to have like sort of a repository where you can go and find all of them. That's awesome. You were talking earlier too, maybe you're going to be introducing some anti-piracy features on SideQuest. What does that look like?
There's kind of twofold there in our motivation to try to help protect users, mainly to protect them from inadvertently doing something that could end up in them getting banned. That would be kind of worst case scenario. The last thing I would want is to be cut off from my headset, cut off from my library of games. So with SideQuest, we're in a unique position that when they're putting stuff onto their headset through SideQuest, we get a chance to look at that content before it ever makes it to the headset. So what we're hoping to do is strike a balance that doesn't inconvenience the user and still allows us to be able to warn users when they're potentially going to put something malicious onto their headsets. And then, of course, that's the first kind of reason. But the second being, there's so many small indie developers that are trying to work in this space and trying to find their way and running on steam and passion. And we want to be able to promote an ecosystem where developers will continue to build out content, even developers on SideQuest with paid games. So we're eager to try and help in any way that we can to warn people. So we're working on a system called SafeSide, which will allow us to outsource and crowdsource with our community and have them submit content that they think is pirated content. So we scan that and then we can create an index of pirated content, much like an antivirus would work. And what we plan to do is when users use the drag and drop facility or when they pick apps to install from their hard drive, that we'll introduce this very quick scan, which will then check to see if that content exists in our database. And then it will simply warn the user what the consequences of are installing that before allowing them to continue. So we're hoping something like that, light touch, that just gives them all the information. They can make an educated choice as to how to proceed. But we're hoping that will be enough to sort of discourage people generally from using
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so you're talking about like pirated APK. So somebody's got a pirated APK of, whatever game, Red Matter, and they go to install sideload that pirated copy of Red Matter. You're going to come up with hey, this is a pirated app, we believe, install it at your own risk type of a thing.
Yes, that's basically essentially it. I mean, I'll probably put some kind of meme in there because,
Okay. Yeah.
But
yeah, that's good. In our Facebook group, I always ban people when I see them doing this, but there's people that will pop up saying, hey, I've got pretty much every game under the sun, PM me $10 a pop and I'll send it to you. And I know what they're doing. They've got these pirated APKs and they come in, and I know that some of our users, before I can catch this, may have inadvertently kind of fallen prey to that. And they're like, sweet, $10, I'll buy a game. And then they get a game that they don't realize is putting their headset or their Oculus account, I think, ultimately at risk by sideloading that. So I think that is a useful feature to have for sure for the people that just don't really know. And somebody says, oh, here's a copy of Pistol Whip, go ahead and install it. I'll give it to you for free. And they don't really realize that, the only way to get games for free is with a code. They're not going to send you the actual APK to sideload. That's definitely not legit. Okay, so I know you've got a ton of social stuff going on SideQuest too that I myself I'm not totally familiar with, but I want to get more into it. So tell us a little bit more about the social aspect and what are you trying to build out on the social side of things with SideQuest?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think social is probably one of the more powerful elements when it comes to virtual reality. We're heavily invested in social. The game that we're working on which is called Legends, is basically a social game in essence. And SideQuest has benefited from a lot of those social features for quite a while. So there's an integrated friend system as part of, there's user profiles that you can use. All of that is how you kind of represent yourself whenever you interact with games and leave reviews and ratings and so forth. You actually earn points as part of a side score system where you can earn additional points for various interaction. And friends messaging, you can talk to most people that are using SideQuest that way. And I find it great. It's really great for me to be able to engage with users and engage with developers in order to be able to help them out with using SideQuest or getting stuff set up on SideQuest.
Cool. What's a good way for someone to connect with other users? How would they go about finding each other? How'd you recommend they do that?
So currently at the minute, only users who have a public profile are accessible. Right now, we have a channels section at the top of the page, which is quite limited, but we're hoping to expand this out into an ability to search for users who are publicly available, or at least send a friend request to users who aren't. But any user you want to connect with, you can share your profile page. You can send them a URL, and even if you're not public, it'll pop up with a button to add them as a friend.
Okay, so just share your URL, and then boom, they can add you as a friend like that.
Exactly.
Okay, Facebook is talking about coming up with their own operating system. So they're, I guess, not so happy with Android. I don't think that's going to happen probably for at least 2 generations would be my guess. I don't even think Quest 2 is going to abandon Android, but I do think that in the future that probably is going to happen. If that's what Facebook wants, they'll get it eventually. Do you see that impacting SideQuest, or you think you'll be able to adapt and continue supporting Facebook's proprietary OS?
Wow, well, geez, I think, first of all, I think you're probably right on the button there. To build an OS is a large undertaking. It takes a lot of effort. There's only a select few over the history of computers that have jumped in to build their own OS. So yeah, I think it's going to be a while. I'd say 2 generations, that's probably not a bad estimate. In terms of whether or not we'll support it, it's really hard to say at this point. It really depends on what kind of ecosystem that we have at that point, especially what kind of ecosystem Facebook wants to create.
Okay.
But I can hope that maybe with the work we've done here at SideQuest, we can inspire them to open the device up a bit and we can get support in there.
Just kind of speaking of the future and stuff, where do you see yourself with SideQuest? Where do you see SideQuest like in the next year? I've heard that you guys are talking with some investors, and where do you see the growth happening?
Well, I mean, what we're kind of really excited about here at SideQuest is just continuing to provide something that's useful. And we're eager to explore anywhere else where we can build out some tools that are useful. So what we want to start working towards is working directly with developers, trying to find some more tools, maybe some more analytics that we can expose for them that allows them to hone their ideas and to prep them so that they can get them ready for a proper pitch. I would also be excited to kind of connect with some other people in the space about just, you know, collating some resources together into kind of a one-stop shop, making this whole process as easy as we possibly can for developers to go from day one to the day that they you know, release their app on all the major stores. And I say all the major stores because, you know, we're obviously we're SideQuest. We're centered around Oculus Quest, and that's pretty much where we plan on staying for this next while. But we're still as eager to try and help promote virtual reality as a whole, you know, the whole industry at this point, I think.
Good. Yeah. So what about like making money? You guys got to pay the bills. I mean, you need to eat. Where do you guys see yourself going to monetize more of what you're doing? I know you recently introduced some advertising, which if an ad comes up and I'm not logged in on my phone, I will make sure to try to click it, send some dough to you guys. But ads are not going to cover everything. So do you guys have any plans to try to produce a little bit of income with it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, making direct income isn't as much a concern right now. In fact, very recently we've been toying with the idea of removing the ads. So we've been talking to some people, and we think that we may be able to take advantage of some grant funding, and we may possibly be looking at some small investment from some kind angel investors. And what we'd be eager to do then is to you know, run SideQuest as we would have if we didn't need the money. So the advertising has been great. You know, we've been working with some great partners, some really ethical partners, and they've actually managed to secure us a significant amount of revenue in only a short 3 weeks that we've been running the advertising. But if we can secure some more longer term revenue that doesn't have to involve advertising, then that's obviously somewhere that we would like to go. So yeah, I mean, I think if we can tie down another funding source, then we'll probably just take all that ad revenue and turn it into free quests for people.
Cool. Okay. Do you guys, I mean, do you ever foresee having like a pro version or like pro features, you know, that are behind kind of a paywall? So you decide you want to upgrade to your pro SideQuest, you might get a little bit more. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly something that we're considering. I mean, one thing that we're very careful about at SideQuest is that we don't want to insert ourselves into the developer cost situation. So we want to make SideQuest as easy for developers to release on, and should they decide they wanted to make money, we want them to take 100% of that. We want to basically incentivize them as much as we can, and in some cases that causes them to drop the prices of their content, which is just letting that benefit roll on down to the user, which is fantastic. What we're eager to do is look at how we can bring some benefits to our patrons. Our patrons have been so kind and have supported us to date. So we're talking about new features that we can introduce for developers to allow them to test their games and to be able to do that maybe in a more controlled environment. So we're possibly looking at a private early access system that would allow developers to release content on SideQuest and be able to control who can access that content. So we may possibly introduce a small amount on a patron tier that gives users access to early access content, or possibly vice versa. We may allow developers to contribute to users if they want to sort of gain users. So there might be some scenario there where we can take a bit of extra revenue, but essentially, as it stands at the minute, our primary focus is really just to try and build as much useful content and tools into SideQuest as we possibly can, and to really help this industry in every way that we can.
I think the idea of offering Patreons early access is a great idea. I mean, tons of YouTubers do it where, you know, their patrons get early access to videos before like general public does. And I think with games, that could be cool. And I think from the response I saw on your original Reddit post when you guys first announced that you were going to be monetizing the site, it was 100% positive. Nobody had any issues with you guys running some ads, as long as it wasn't too terribly intrusive, to make some money, because I know you got to get paid for what you're doing. Your time isn't free, it's valuable. And the amount of work that you put into this, you definitely deserve, everybody on your team to make a little bit of money off of it. It's a full-time job, and you can't do a full-time job for free. So yeah, I would definitely explore doing the Patreon thing with early access. Maybe they get, a week or 2 or a month or whatever early access on some of the games. And you could even leave it up to the developers to say, yeah, I want to participate in that because I want to help, support SideQuest, or, they don't want to, or maybe you can figure out some sort of a rev share with the developers if they want to do that. Then they can get a little bit of a cut off of, whatever Patreon income that might help to generate, or something like that. I mean, just throwing ideas. But I think the user base would definitely not have an issue with anything like that, because I think they're all pretty hip or cool with help supporting you guys, because I know you guys got to make some dough. We'll wrap it up, but I mean, is there anything else that you want to add? Anything that we missed? You got any cool news you want to share? Anything like that?
No, I mean, nothing as of yet. I mean, just, usual kind of stuff. Keep an eye out. We're going to have loads of competitions. We're going to be giving away loads of headsets. We're going to be dragging people into virtual reality, kicking and screaming, whether they like it or not. So, yeah, we're just really excited. There's loads of games in the pipeline. I'm talking to loads of developers. So just keep an eye out for new cool stuff on SideQuest. We'll
do, yeah. And if you're ever running any contests, feel free to hop over to our Facebook group. I'll pin it at the top. If you guys are giving away a quest, I'd love to share that with the people over in the group for sure. You want to say hi to any of your dev team? Give a shout out to anybody?
Yeah, absolutely. The whole moderator team, Chibi, Red Brumbler, Flappy as we call her, and Moto and Aracon. Most of these names I never say in real life. I just read them daily, every day in and day out. So it's kind of strange to hear me speak them.
Chibi is like always 24/7 active. Like anytime there's a question, Chibi's like, I got the answer, like day or night. I always see him on there. Like, so very, very, very helpful. Very nice too.
Chibi is the backbone of our community. Chibi is an absolute rock star.
Yeah.
I think Chibi, if you want to send a donation our way, send it directly to Chibi. You'll get his donation. I'll give you the link. You can put it down the bottom or whatever.
I will. But,
it's all over our Discord too. He's an absolute superstar. We try to throw him some money every now and again when we can, but he's so passionate about this stuff, and he's really out there to help people, and it's really exciting. We want to keep Chibi as happy as we can because he is a rock star, dude. He's a rock star. Yeah, super helpful. I can't tell you how many times I've had a question and Chibi, boom, 5 minutes later, any time of the day, has an answer. So yeah, Chibi is great. Red Brumbler was awesome, helping me to learn how to do Beat Saber mods myself when I was first kind of learning how to do some of the signs and sabers and stuff, and he went above and beyond to help teach me that too. So Red is great. You guys have an awesome community. Everybody over there is just super helpful, and I think everybody loves that. It's the Quest community at large. I need to commend them. It's not just limited to our Discord server. Every virtual reality Discord server that's seen an influx of Quest users has seen an influx of positivity along with them, and you can see it all over the subreddits and stuff like that. So I mean, there's 20,000 of us in Discord, but there's 50,000 amazing people on the Oculus Quest subreddit, and the number just keeps growing. We're all obviously very happy about the future, and we know we're on the forefront of it. So I think it's really nice to see. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I love the community. It is one of the most helpful communities, and it's not quite like the gamer community, which can be kind of cutthroat. Everybody is a lot more helpful, easygoing for the most part. So it's a good community, and I'm really psyched to see it grow myself. So yeah, give me the links. If you got one for Chibi, if you got one for Red, anybody that you want to help support, definitely I'll be putting those in the bottom of the video. I thank you so much for your time. It was nice having you. And we're all looking forward to some more SideQuest and what you got coming next. Thanks so much, Shane. Cheers. Talk to you soon.
All righty. Have a good one. Alrighty, so that wraps up the interview. Thanks again to Shane Harris for spending some time with us. We all really appreciate it. If you guys liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Hit the bell button to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the bell button to get notified when I do these videos. I do them kind of frequently. I apologize if the edit was a little bit weird. It was my first time doing this, so kind of getting my interviewing legs with the editing stuff, so I apologize for that. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks.